What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. I'm so excited for this week. In fact, I'm so excited for this entire year. 2018 was a bit rough when it came to the movie viewing spectrum. There were some really good movies, but there were a lot of really bad movies. And by the look of this year is going to be amazing. At least that's my hope. And we all know that the first couple of weeks in January are generally a bit slow. So I've planned to review movies that I didn't get a chance to review for you in the year of 2018, or films that I just haven't seen yet. For instance, right now, I'm going to be talking to you guys about Vice. So let's get right into it. So for those of you who don't know, Vice is the biopic about Vice President Dick Cheney, who at a certain point was the most powerful man, if not the most powerful vice president in the country, and he's portrayed by Christian Bale, sort of. What I mean by sort of is, oh my god, I gotta talk about the performances before I get into any other detail about this movie, because the performances in this movie are insanely great. I mean, it reminded me so much of that biopic about President Lincoln directed by Steven Spielberg, because every actor in here, be it Sam Rockwell as President George W. Bush, or Amy Adams as Lynn Cheney, or Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, every performance in this film is so fine-tuned. They are so great that it feels like you're just watching events unfold on screen. And Christian Bale, man, I gotta say I'm impressed. When it comes down to it, when it comes to award season, there are three actors I do not mind winning at this point. Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born, and now Christian Bale for Vice, because his performance is just on that level great. And I gotta say, when it comes to political movies, they generally go into two camps for me. I'll either be super bored and I'll just be taking out of it, because politics is not really my area of where my interest lies, or the politics in the film or about the person will be interesting enough that I will keep watching until the end. And that's exactly the case when it came to Vice. What really kept me on board and kept me watching the movie, although it is definitely more left-leaning, we'll get to that in a second, is the fact that the performances are so good that I was so invested in the character and the person of Dick Cheney that I wanted to see where this story would go from the beginning all the way into the end of the film. However, what I was disappointed with the director, Adam McKay, is I understand that he's a very outspoken political figure when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to that area, but his political bias definitely showed a lot in here. My favorite kind of political thrillers are when you can see both sides, both Republicans and Democrats, and neither side is necessarily demonized, or they're both demonized, something along those lines. Unfortunately, when it comes to Vice, although it does feel like Adam McKay did his best to try to say that there are some really good Republicans out there, it does come across very much like he is still demonizing them with a very heavy hand. Although I will say that there is a mid-credit scene at the end of this movie, which I feel kind of partially makes up for that little aspect, but overall, the film, that's probably the biggest disappointment for me as a whole. Not to mention, it has one of the best screenplays of the entire year, some of the best performances of the entire year. If I had had the chance to see this movie last year, it would have been definitely in my top 10 list, or at least in my honorable mentions. But at the end of the day, guys, I gotta say that it's really gonna depend who you are on your level of enjoyment when it comes to Vice. But me personally, since this is about a person that I don't really know all that much about, it makes me want to do research, and the film as a whole is just very interesting, with some stellar performances, a phenomenal screenplay, and just a really intriguing story. And so what it comes down to is that I will say that Vice is a good casual watch. But at the end of the day, guys, it is what you say that matters. So have you seen Vice? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you just indifferent because you haven't had a chance to see it? And thank you so much, as always, for all the support. This next year is going to be awesome, and you guys are going to make it that way. So without any further ado, guys, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right there and subscribe and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema. You all have a fantastic day.